Week 15 is underway, and it's the 49ers getting their 10th win of the season. Hats and T-shirts. The NFC West is all wrapped up. 21-13 is your final. Brock Purdy, 2-0 as a starting quarterback in the NFL. But this game, it ran through the hands and legs of Christian McCaffrey. Of the 49ers' 61 offensive snaps, 34 of them either handed to or thrown to CMC. He goes for a $138 total yardage, and in the end, it's a W for San Francisco, who punches their ticket to the playoffs. Breaking this one down in studio with the 10-year vet, Douzable in studio. We watched this game together. Yeah. Impressive across the board here from the 49ers. I don't think the final score nor the box score tells the full story of that dominance. But let's start where they were most dominant, defensive side of the ball. You made a great point that they're not just rolling 4-3 looks out there and telling other teams to beat them. They're throwing a lot of exotics, stunts. What'd you make of the defensive performance by the San Francisco in this one?
I mean, DeMeco Ryans threw everything. I mean, everything at Geno Smith. Really good job sending some 5-man pressures, some 6-man pressures. Charvarius Ward, right? He said, you know what? You got DK Metcalf today. And he stood tall against DK Metcalf. Great battle between those two. But I really like what he did with the defensive line. Load front, right? 3 guys on one side of the formation, 1 guy on the backside. Bring Fred Warner up in that A-gap to buy the center. Then they run pass rush games. We saw a Tom game between the 2 defensive tackles with Eric Armstead. He comes around, loops around, almost gets a sack. We saw Nick Bosa on a Tex game, right? Eric Armstead goes up the B-gap. He comes around, sack. That got called back for roughing the passer, which was egregious.
We'll get there.
Should have been a pick six. But and then Talanoa Hufanga, you see it right there. Another 5-man pressure. Eases his way to the sideline and then blitzes off the edge. DeMeco Ryans did a really good job giving Geno Smith different looks. They just didn't have a 4-man rush and play coverage, right? They went some man coverage and sent 5 and 6 guys, and Geno Smith and his offensive line could not pick up and stop this defensive line from the 49ers.
So it's game plan and execution at the absolute highest level right now by this 49ers defense. Yeah. So let's move it forward one level here. What does that do for a team when you're in a moment like this, trying to get the hats and T-shirts, and you have that type of unit anchoring things down on defense?
I mean, when you have a young rookie quarterback and you have a defense that you can really lean on, it makes your job so much easier. We saw Kyle Shanahan, we talked about this watching the game, Moose, right? After they get Darrell Taylor to jump offside around like the 43-yard line, I'm like, oh, it's 4th and 2. They're definitely going to go for it. But he punts the ball away because he believes in his defense. Honestly thought he should have went for that because they only gained about 10 yards of yardage right there because there was a penalty on the play and the ball went into the end zone. But when you have a defense that's as stifling as the 49ers, even though you got a rookie quarterback, I mean, it's easy for you as a coordinator because you can lean on the run game, right? You don't have to put too much on Brock Purdy's shoulder because you know with that front 4 and then with the linebackers in the secondary, literally, they have Pro Bowl players at all 3 levels. They're going to go up and show out every day. We saw it. I believe the first 3 series of this game, I don't believe Nick Bosa was on the bench.
Yeah.
You saw the importance of this game. They wanted to win this division today. Also with Christian McCaffrey, I know we're talking about defense, but I don't believe Jordan Mason maybe had 1 carry the whole first half. Yeah. So Kyle Shanahan could tell put an emphasis on trying to win this game, win a division, and go ahead and take care of business, and that's what this 49ers team did.
Let's get to the offensive side of the ball because, once again, a masterclass by Kyle Shanahan, whether it was the play calling, the design, all the stuff he gives these defenses to look at. I think best outlined by that first touchdown, show it here, show it there, throw it there. I mean, what more can be said about Kyle Shanahan and the job he's doing to put his young quarterback in the best position possible?
Yeah, Kyle is so inventive in how he calls games. I mean, you see it right here, right? Let's screen it to the left where Ray-Ray McCloud, then fake it back to the right. And then let's hit George Kittle up the seam. Jordan Brooks didn't know where to go, right? Because he had Christian McCaffrey out on the outside, and then George Kittle just runs right by him down the seam. So much eye candy, and that makes it hard when you're a defender. You don't know where to go. Did a really good job also later on. 3rd and 15, Ray-Ray McCloud. Condensed formation, bring everybody inside, run everybody off. Christian McCaffrey, he runs him on a drag route, takes Ryan Neal with him, and then you hit Ray-Ray McCloud behind that on a screenplay, and you get a 1st down and 3rd and 15. And when you think you're in a 4-minute drill, we're going to run the ball, run the clock out. No, we're going to play action you, run like we're running stretch to the right. We're going to hit Tyler Kraft. We're going to bluff him on a block and hit him down the sideline for an explosive and a 1st down and let the clock keep running. Kyle Shanahan has done an amazing job with Brock Purdy, getting him some easy throws, just scheming it up so his young quarterback doesn't have to make big-time throws. But Brock Purdy did a good job, too. We saw that earlier when they were backed up on that 3rd and 7 play. Jawan Jennings on a slant route hits him in stride. Also had another play to Brandon Ayuk, who we really wanted him to catch that pass. I know you have him on your fantasy. But he hit him right in the hands, right? They could have moved the chains on 3rd down. But Brock Purdy, again, not just being a game manager. Like Kyle Shanahan's done a great job, right? Yeah. Scheming things up for him. But he's made some big-time throws. I think the biggest play he made at the end of the night was to slide inbounds, but make sure the ball was ahead of him, because we know in the NFL, wherever you start your slide, that's where they mark you down at. He started the slide, but had the ball in front of him to make sure the clock kept running, and they got the first down. This young player is not playing like a rookie. He's comfortable in this offense, and Kyle Shanahan has done a good job making sure he's comfortable in this offense.
Heady stuff by the young quarterback who started this game 11 of 11, and that's to the credit of both he and Kyle Shanahan. I mean, you could live in the film room. If you're an opposing defense, Kyle Shanahan's going to give you something different to look at. Purdy, you spoke a little bit about it there, but the poise he's really showed in these first 2 games as a starting quarterback. You lose your starting quarterback, and usually the season's gone. You lose your second-string guy, and surely that's the end of it. This 49ers team, this defense, and Brock Purdy, the way he's playing right now, what is the ceiling?
The Super Bowl. I actually picked them in the beginning of the year to go to the Super Bowl with the Buffalo Bills, and that's what Trey Lance at quarterback. I figured that Jimmy Garoppolo would maybe sublet him around week 6, but with Brock Purdy coming in, the way he's played with moxie and so much swagger these last 3 weeks of the season, I still like them to go to the Super Bowl, because we know in the playoffs, the one thing you have to pack is your defense and that run game. And they play at a high level in both of those areas. This defense will get after you with the front 4, and sometimes they'll send 5 or 6 man pressures to get after you, and they can hold up in the secondary. And Christian McCaffrey, what Kyle Shanahan has done has been so inventive with him, as far as not only just running him with the football, getting him the ball in open space, lining him outside at the wide receiver position. We saw it last week on a essential sluggo go route to score a touchdown. I believe he went over the 4.5 receptions in the first half in this game. So he just finds a way to get him the ball, and Brock Purdy has, real rapport with Christian McCaffrey. He trusts him. When he's in trouble, that's who he goes with the football. And I got George Kittle back involved in the game with Deebo Samuel being out. But this team, right, it's not really based off the quarterback position. Brock Purdy is playing at a high level. It's the system. It's the way Kyle Shanahan designs plays that makes it easy for the quarterback. Anytime you have a mastermind like Kyle Shanahan, you got a chance.
As you just saw, it's now 7 in a row for the San Francisco 49ers, the longest active win streak in the NFL. I would be remiss if we did not give some flowers and run the tape on one Nick Bosa. 15.5 sacks now this season. He matches his career high that he set a year ago and doesn't look to be slowing down anytime soon. A guy that can bend the edge and affect the game and play with the power and speed that he does. It's rare. I mean, you've seen it. You've played alongside some of it. Situate him amongst history right now.
He's an action figure. He's not human. And we talked about it on his 1 sack, right? Most defensive ends, when they're getting pushed in the back by a defensive lineman and your knee's literally 2 inches off the ground, you go fall forward and you fall on your face. Nick Bosa is able to bend the edge, keep his knees off the ground, run full speed while flipping his hips, and he gets a sack right there. We saw it on the pass rush game with, Eric Armstead. The ability to stick that right foot in the ground and get up the field and get a hit on Geno, again, egregious call with the roughing the passer call that should have been a pick 6. But Nick Bosa, there were so many times, Moose, we were watching the game, we were like, ooh, he's a step away. Ooh, he's a step away. And I think even Ryan Fitzpatrick said it at halftime, like, Nick Bosa's been really close to don't be surprised if he goes off the second half. And sure enough, right, they put the cape on the man's back. The second half, he took over the game.
Acquiring data points and then goes out in the second half and wreaks havoc. Let's go there, because we do like to celebrate here on HQ, but some topics do need to be addressed. I want to take a look at that roughing the passer by Nick Bosa, because it was a moment where this game could have been over in the third quarter. Pick 6 the other way, points come off the board for this Niners defense, and instead, it's an extended drive for the Seahawks. And here's a look at it. I mean, I'm not sure where he's supposed to go, and we were forced to do this time and again here at the desk and pick apart what was a flag that likely should not have been. And I know you mentioned my fantasy team also took a touchdown off the board for the Niners defense, but I digress. What are you seeing here? What are you not seeing here? And furthermore, what do you want to see from the league moving forward to try and get maybe some of this out of the game?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think the league does need to make this reviewable, right? Because this can change the outcome of games. You talked about it, Moose. Right, this was about to be a blowout if that pick 6 happens. I believe they go up by 3 scores right there, and then the likelihood of the Seahawks coming back are slim to none. We've seen it multiple times on hits. We saw it with the Grady Jarrett hit versus Tampa Bay Bucks. We saw it with, the Chris Jones sack. Like, they have to review this because these are game-changing plays. I'm not just speaking from a defensive line perspective. I'm talking about the game period. These guys are playing too hard for you to take the game out of the player's hands. And essentially, some of these calls are taking the game out of the player's hands. Right here, again, where is he going to land? He lands on the side. He puts maybe his chest on him. But what can he do? In this one,
we're seeing the lowlights right now of a ton of calls this season, one just a week ago. And as you said, games that change or plays that change the momentum inside of games, things that we can't necessarily explain. It's something that the league has to look at, whether it's reviewable or whether this is something that they redefine the rules. It is affecting games right now. It did not affect the outcome of this one, but it no doubt affected the flow of that game. There is cause and effect outside of just this play in this game. We're talking about the playoff picture. Let's take a look now at that NFC playoff picture because we got a ticket punched and we got a team on the outside looking in that's going to need to really rattle off a few in a row here, and the road ahead is not easy for the Seahawks. I know you pointed it out. It's KC up next, but at an even 7-7 from where they started, hair on fire. I know I asked a question prior to this game, and I'm not sure that your opinion changes much following this result, but are they one of the best 7 teams in the NFC?
Yeah, this is where me and B-Mac disagree, right? And I just don't think they're one of the best 7 teams. If you can't stop the run game, and we saw Jordan Mason, right, at the end, run off an explosive run. We saw it last week. The Carolina Panthers, I believe, 13 out of 15 plays, run the ball to end the game. You have to be able to stop the run because when that cold weather comes, that's what teams are going to rely on, their run game. And the Seahawks just have not been consistent on defense, being able to stop the run. You talked about it already, Moose, right? They have a road ahead that's not too favorable. They got to go to Kansas City. And then this San Francisco 49er defense is one of the best, if not the best in the league. Well, they have another one, and the New York Jets coming to town in 2 weeks. So it's more of the same with that front four being able to get after you and get after the quarterback as well. And they actually probably have 2 better corners than the San Francisco 49ers have. So it looks grim right now if you're the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, I think some of those losses earlier in the season have come back to bite them. The Raiders one really comes to mind, and the Atlanta Falcons earlier in the season. I think it's going to be a tall task for them to get into the playoffs.
This game of fandom that we play, it's one of expectations, and the expectation this season for the Seahawks far lower than what they've put forth already. So you might have a team and you might have a quarterback. Dudes, we appreciate you as always breaking it down here on HQ. And when we say you watch, you wager, you win, we mean it. We put it all on the line each and every week in these primetime slates. We give you the winners time and again. Everybody who spoke is walking to the window for a winning ticket. Mox with the Niners laying the points. B-Mac, game under. Furman, Gino over his completions. Kenny, Lige on that same Mason play. Comes through late, but a win is a win is a win. George Kittle, that one cashed early as well. A clean sweep as we put it all on the line. And we got to give a shout out to Mox Bets as well. Katie Mox on fire in this one. Those two, Gino and DK, just to keep her honest. Fantastic night from Mox. Give her a follow.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.